again. Good morning.
Good morning.
There was a lot of lifting up going on this morning, and I think it's a common thing that we see. But welcome to the fourth Sunday of Lent we are being. There's a lot of salvation and some need of patience in this morning. In our first reading from Numbers, Moses is leading the Israelites to the Promised Land. Numbers is the fourth book of the Old Testament. It was at one time thought that Moses wrote the first 5 books. And it was credible since he was well educated by the Egyptians. He could have done this. But in the 19th century, the Jewish and Christian scholars decided that somebody else had actually written it a little bit later. But in this, Moses is leading his people by way of the Red Sea. He's taking the long way. And so it's going to be a 40-year journey, and he's taking the long way because the king of Edom would not permit Moses passage across the country. So Moses and his people are wandering somewhat. The people are starting to complain, talk down about Moses, talk down about God. They're complaining because they don't have food and water. But then it says, and they don't like that miserable food. So was there food or wasn't there? But in a way it wasn't food. They had manna from heaven. And I was curious, I always thought manna was bread. But actually manna was a seed, similar to coriander. And they would grind it up and make a meal and have pancakes. Well, I can understand them getting tired of pancakes all the time. I mean, haven't we all ever overindulged what we really like? In high school, I got a job working at Gina's. Does anybody remember Gina's? KFC. And I love Kentucky Fried Chicken. And I thought, this is going to be a great job because they give you a meal every day. Well, after about 3 months, I wasn't so crazy about KFC. And so I can understand why the people Moses is leading are kind of like, okay, this manna is getting old. But they had to eat what they could. So as they're complaining, and they're complaining all this, and so God decides there needs to be some discipline handed out. And he sends, of all things, snakes. Not just snakes, poisonous snakes. And in that region, they have some pretty poisonous snakes. So they're biting people, people are dying. The people of Israel realize that they have sinned against God and he is punishing them. So they go to Moses and ask Moses to pray to God and for relief. Now my question is, why didn't they pray with him? Shouldn't this have been a group thing? So then God tells Moses to make a bronze serpent. And I can imagine how he did. I can't imagine how he did that out there with lack of tools, probably. And he had crude, rocks, maybe some hammers. But then he formed it and put it on a pole, and it's lifted up. And so now that the people, if they're bitten, if they look up, they will live. In our second reading, Paul's writing to the people of Ephesus, and he's in prison. Paul spent a lot of time in prison. And this is where I can't imagine how much patience he must have had to have his outlook on this. And in the reading, but God, who is rich in mercy, out of great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead, through our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. That's just a little part of that reading that I pulled out that really struck me. Because when I was studying some of the history of it, when they say at the beginning, you were dead. Well, we were kind of dead since the sin of Adam. And now we are being saved. It is the gift of God. Now, in our third reading, you have the line from 3:16. Now, if you were making a best-of album of things quoted from the Bible, I believe number one would be right there. For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son, so that everyone who believes in him may not perish, but have eternal life. Now you see this slogan, you see John 16 on bumper stickers, you see it written, it's that famous, but it has also been mocked by comedians, rewording it, substituting, which I don't think is right. The readings we receive each week relate to our day-to-day life. And I think the common thread is pretty much almost every week. We wander in our own personal spiritual deserts, not appreciating the gifts we receive. We can be dead spiritually, but then God so loves us. God so loves us, the world, that he wants us to love each other. The earth, our mother, our father, neighbor, enemies, the rest of the world, and even politicians. I ask that when we live here, that we so love the world. We need to lift up Jesus because he came and saved us once. If we lift him up and believe in him, we will be saved again. And once again, as I like to end, we do not have to love like each other, but we do have to love each other. Please do.